I'm about to get up on my new roof and do some repairs. Now, when I say new roof, it's new to me, but by roof standards, it's still pretty new. This is barely over a year old. It's a year and a couple of months old. I purchased this in late October of 2022. You can see I have some nails that have raised up. Here they've raised up quite high, but I also have some nails that have poked through that I'm gonna have to use roofing cement on, or the black tar. Not happy about that because the old roof, I can tell you just before I get up here, the old roof and the cautionary tale about shopping for a new roof and the companies that you choose. My old roof was, when I moved into this house, it was about 10 years beyond its prime at that point, and I milked another 10 to 12 years out of it by mastering black tar. It was so bad, there was hardly any granule left. You didn't dare get up on it when it was wet, even though I did, to make emergency seals. But there were so few granules left, it was slippery even when it was dry. But I had pasted all over the place black tar. It looked horrible from the street, but it was waterproof. I had a spidey sense. I knew roughly what time I would need to get back up and look and see if that black tar had cracked at all. And I had sealed my chimney, the chimney on this house. Yeah, that's going to be part of this story today. The chimney on this house used to leak at the base, right where the flashing was, and the flashing was considerably lower. You can still see off to the left there a little bit of black from where I'd worked my way up on the chimney to ensure. But I became a master of milking life out of a roof and making it last. So why didn't I get a new roof? Well, one of the reasons is those things. This is the trees that are left, and they sit away from my house. Can't really show you without giving away street signs and stuff, but these sit away from my house, and I've had them trimmed. You'll notice that one's trimmed where none of the branches hang over. This one had a few that used to, but that's been trimmed away. And this one has been trimmed away as well. But there used to be 4 more trees that dwarfed these. I mean, a lot larger around. And they were within an arm's reach. I promise you, I could stand and touch the bricks on my house and stretch out my other arm and touch the bricks on 4 trees on 3 of the 4 corners of my house, and they would beat the roof to pieces. Well, let me see if I can edit a picture in here. I dug these out of some leaves where I used to keep shingles up under my deck just so I could do emergency repairs. Always during a storm, a limb would fall and poke a hole, and I would have to get up there and do emergency repairs. I had Luan, I had everything that I needed, including the black tar to do repairs. So, all that being said, let me get to the topic of this video. This video is for new homeowners and existing homeowners that are shopping for their first roof. I got rid of the trees. $12,000 plus later, I finally got rid of the trees and determined that I could get a new roof. So I get a brand new roof installed. I paid in this house, it's not huge. I paid, I believe, $4,500 for this roof with architectural shingles. I had them do gutters as well. That was another $971, I think. And then I did my gutter guards. I have a video on these gutter guards. They are great, great, great. So I had the new roof done, and it was bliss. It was bliss for about the first, 6 months. And then I started noticing that ridge vent. They repaired this the other day when they redid the flashing that we're gonna get up there and talk about that. But this ridge vent down here on this other side, there was a dip in it. I just happened to be standing out at the street one day and admiring my new roof, and I noticed there was a dip in the ridge vent. I'm going to edit in some audio here so it might sound a little bit different, but let me tell you why the ridge vent took 6 months to show the dip. I had the roof installed roughly the 28th of October. It was cold. It was until April that we got the first good heat wave, and heat caused the shingles to sag on the ridge vent. Before that, they were cold. They just stayed in line with all the other shingles around them. When it got hot, they sunk down. And now back to the story. What I determined was that one of their installers had stepped on it when they were leaving or working on it, whatever, and it cracked the black plastic that makes up the ridge vent, the underside of that ridge vent. So I called the company, I let them know. They came out and they looked at it. They promised me that they would get back with me. And when I say company, you can hire the cheap roofers, you can hire the good roofers. And in my area, there are two companies that are kind of the top. There's one that I think runs the entire state. And then there's more of a regional one. But the two big names, I picked one of the two big names. And I picked the one that was more expensive, the more expensive of the two to get a good roof job. Plus, I have a relative that works for them, so technically I got a good deal price-wise. But they promised me they would come out and they would fix that. Months and months and months went by, and I never saw anything, never heard anything, so I just kind of got used to it being pressed in, and I thought eventually they'll get to it. I don't want to be a jerk. I'm happy with my roof. It's not leaking. Then I started noticing little signs. I saw this, my kitchen ceiling. And then beside it, not far from that, I saw this. You can see the round circle there. That's a little brown. Clearly there's been some leaking. I instantly knew. We had another downpour, and lo and behold, there it is. A leak running down the chimney right to where the water would have roughly been. So I get up in my attic. I confirm that it is leaking inside. I called the company. I said, hey, something's going on. Now, to their credit, this was on a Saturday, I think, Saturday morning. They were here within an hour. So clearly when there's a leak involved, they did respond. So I'll give them props for that. The problem that I have, and the reason that my chimney is wrapped up there, is because they did what I call the Tech Support 101. I used to work technical support, internet technical support. I managed a couple of call centers. And I know the number one thing you do with tech support, you always blame it on the person's computer first, or whatever is not your system. And that's kind of what I got. I got Tech Support 101. They blamed my chimney. They said, your chimney cap is leaking and it's letting water wick down, and that's working through the bricks and somehow coming out inside your house right at the roof line. So, okay, what do we do about that? Can you do a chimney cap? And they said, well, we don't do chimney caps, but we can spray Flex Seal on it. And I don't have a picture of this because I've already covered it up. But they used white Flex Seal, which makes my bricks look horrible, and sprayed it all the way down. But I guess, they were just trying. They didn't even charge me for that. They were trying to, quote, fix the issue. Problem solved, right? No. Go to later that day, it starts downpouring again. More water starts coming in. I call them back. They come back and they tell me that it's not the chimney cap, it's the chimney itself. That the entire chimney is leaking so bad that it can't be anything flashing down their roof. It can't be their roof. It's the chimney itself. That's letting in water. It's not the roof. Everything looks good. Well, I pointed out a couple of problems or concern areas that I had noticed, even just in looking at the roof when it was new, but especially now that it was leaking. I noticed some areas where water would puddle, and just the angle it was at and the way the roof used to be, that I explained to them how flashing used to kind of contour down in a way. I said, isn't this standing water? It has to go somewhere. It can either evaporate or it can go somewhere else. And I'm thinking that somewhere else is inside my house because I can see it. They swear that it is my chimney. Well, they didn't swear, but they told me that it was the chimney, so that's how this came. Long story to get to this. That's how this developed, because I bought a tarp. I bought two tarps, actually. I bought some 3M waterproof tape, some 9mm plastic, and I made a sarcophagus, working my way from the bottom up. And you can see I strategically did it so that it was right down roughly to their flashing. And this has been moved up in what you see here because I had to remove it. I had a company come and quote me a chimney cap that would match this flashing, and oh, that's gonna factor in here in a second. So where it's curved up there on the bottoms, it was a perfect 1 inch all the way around. And what that did was it told me during the next rain, if this leaked, it couldn't possibly be the chimney because that is clear. And I even had a video where it rained. I'll see if I can edit in here, but underneath it, it was completely dry. It was completely dry under the sarcophagus, yet I had water coming in. So they came back out, and this was, I believe, the third or fourth time they had came out. And finally, they sent a different guy, super nice guy. Instantly, he looked at it, he climbed up in the attic, looks at it and says, yeah, this is leaking and I think it's leaking at this flashing. I said, I think it's this little area here, which was the point that I had mentioned multiple times and had been concerned about all along, even before the roof ever leaked, even when it was new. Just thought it looked a little weird. So that gets us to today and why I have this and why I have these, aside from getting up under here and running these two things down. It's sad when you pay $4,500 for a roof and the company stands behind it, but you're scared to get them back out onto your roof because of other things. So before I start working with this, let's climb up there and let me show you what they did. Well, first I'll tell you what he discovered, and then I'll show you what he did that made me not want them back on my roof again. So, oh yeah, I did this to my ladder. I bought these little standoffs so I didn't get on my new gutters. They were not as kind, even though they installed the gutters. They laid the ladder right up against them. So while the guy was working, I moved the ladder out and put painter's tape behind it. Okay, here we are at the chimney. Here's the flashing. That's the old flashing. Here's the new flashing. Do you notice anything yet? Do you notice the two colors where they installed a different color flashing on the front? Yeah, well, we'll get to that. But what he determined was what I had shown you earlier, where it would leak there. He determined this flashing needed to come all the way up to here. And then they have a liner under it, and then they put the shingles over it. He determined that would fix it, but while he was, I hope this wind doesn't mess up this microphone, but while he was doing all this, he ripped out this. It was wet under it. So it had actually been leaking around the seal, and it looked good. We both looked at it. And he said, yeah, the seal looked good. I don't see where it was leaking. He did find a couple of spots. He said, yeah, small bits would come out there, but it was on the other side. But he had to redo all of this. And you can see the gray, the tan. I don't know if he was colorblind or what, but now that I look at this, so I didn't like that. I mean, you have a new roof, and realistically from the ground, you can't really see, and even if you get the angle where you can't really tell it from that far away, but I know it's here, and I'm a very particular person. Another edit, because I want to mention something else. Let's say I go to sell this house, and an inspector gets on the roof. They're going to see those two different colors and start wondering what's going on here, and that might cause, well, just other things. So something else to factor in, and now back where I was. Especially when I pay money for stuff, I want it nice, but I also notice there used to be, and I'll see if I can edit in here, the way these shingles, it just kind of left a little gap and it would pool water and then it would run under, and that was one of the leak points, they do believe. But you can see where he's redone this, there's a line, that's the liner. I can see the liner because he was bragging about there's 3 layers of protection. There's the flashing that goes under, there's a liner over that, and then there's shingles. We'll only have 2 layers because that's the liner. So I'm very curious. We have about 0.8 of an inch of rain, so almost an inch coming tomorrow. And you can see that's a gap. They didn't cut the shingles properly. I'm starting to get concerned with that. But that's just the beginning of my concerns, because while I was looking at that, I noticed over here, see if I can find it. Yeah, here it is. That's a nail poking through the shingle. So I'm going to have black tar on my new roof, the thing that I couldn't stand for years, those splotches of tar that you can see from the road. I'm going to have that. At least it'll be just a small spot. And that's what they were going to do when I called them. They said, yeah, we'll just come and tar it. So I'm going to have tar there. There's a couple more that I spotted, but they're over here where I can't really film. I do want to show you a lot of little things. Well, yeah, there's one of them. No, that's not, it's just a rock, but you can see where that's coming off. Let me just move around here. Look at that edge. There is no asphalt on that. I'm gonna walk around here. It's so bright, it's hard to see. Well, I'll tell you what, it's so bright that I can't see the actual damage, because believe it or not, this black is kind of reflecting and I can't see very well. But I'll edit in some images of where along this roof this asphalt is starting to come off already at 1 year. I told them when I called, I said, look, I think it looks like a 5 or a 10-year-old roof and it's less than 1 year old. What brand did you use? They used Owens and Corning, but as you can see, plenty of area. I mean, there's a lot. There is a lot. And then of course the nails poking through, I think I have 3 of those. And of course, just the concern with what's going to happen at this next rain. It's so bad that at my next rain, I mean, this could be worse. Look, really, of all my problems, at least I have a roof that can leak, right? But my next course of action is, if it leaks again, I'm going to tell them, I guess I'm going to have to hire that other company to fix my roof, and you're going to pay for it. Because I have lost faith in their ability to do anything proper. I mean, wouldn't this bother you? If you spend over $5,000, including the gutters, with the company, and then months later you discover that your ridge vent has a dip in it, and they won't come, or they say they'll come, but I guess they just forgot about it. I'll give them a pass on that one. But all of these areas where this asphalt's chipping away on this brand new roof, the leak, the miscolored flashing, the unnecessarily loud vehicles that make up 90% of my neighborhood. Yeah, look at that in there. And I know there's little spots that happen, but if I go over, there are just lots and lots of little areas where the asphalt is just coming away. And these are on edges. Some of them are up just in random spots on the asphalt shingle. So I don't have a lot of faith that this roof is going to age well. And that's my warning to you. When you hire roofing companies, you really have to be careful. And even though these guys stand behind their stuff, look at that. There we go. We can see where he did carry that flashing. Well, now how is that going to vent? That just covered up a large section of this ridge vent. I guess it'll still vent through the other areas, but see what I'm talking about? Little stuff. And look at that. There's a nail going into a shingle with no sealant on it. You got the one beside it. He got that one. But that's a nail without sealant on it. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm... Okay, starting to get frustrated. I'm going to wrap this up. I just wanted to give you a very unprofessionally filmed video, letting you know to be careful if you're a homeowner, especially a new homeowner, that it might be your first roof, like this was the case with me. First time buying a new roof. Be careful. And yeah, all this, that's Flex Seal, where they splattered it all over my new flashing that used to look so good. Now it doesn't, but that pales in comparison to the color mismatch. So there you go. Comment below if you've had anything like this. I'm going to get my black tar out and I'm going to start patching on this new roof. Again, year and 2 months old, but new to me. Yeah, not happy. Just thought I would share it, and hopefully you don't run into this too. I even paid extra for those little boots. They look good. Supposedly keep things from getting down in there. Comment below. Thanks for watching and have a great day.